Hello my dear students. So again I am in front of you with the next topic, better to say the topic is same but the second part of the previous topic, that is the electoral politics. So before we go ahead, once again I would like to remind you that those who have not subscribed our channel so far, so first of all just go to the main page, subscribe our channel to keep up updated. So yes, let us come once again to electoral politics. It is part 2. So far students, you have come to know about that what do we mean by a constituency, what do we mean by political parties, what do we mean by elections, what are the different kind of elections, and who can actually contest the election. This we have not discussed so far, but the system of vote you all know. So about the reserve constituency you have studied. So now let us move ahead to the next part. So now once the constituency is decided, now the other thing on which we should know, that is the procedure of nomination of candidates. Talking about the nomination, the word nomination means namankan in Hindi. Nomination means you are just giving your name, you are producing your name that you are going to contest the election. People can be aware of that you are going to contest the election, you are going to be one of the contestant in the elections. So what is the procedure that we all need to know? So anyone, so first of all it is needed for you to know that who can nominate himself in elections. So any person who can be a voter, that person can be a contestant also, but there is some difference. The difference is this, that for being a voter the age should be 18 years, but for being a contestant age differs. For being a member of Lok Sabha, the minimum age required is 25 years, whereas for being a elector or for being a candidate in Rajya Sabha election, the age which is required is 30 years. So once if you are completing this age criteria, and if you are the citizen of India and of any caste, creed, race, religion, any gender, it hardly matters. So once you are fulfilling the age criteria, then definitely you can go for the nomination. So every first person who is willing to go for the nomination, he first of all need to fill a nomination form. Whenever you are going to participate in any kind of competition, you need to fill the form. In the same way, election is also a kind of competition. So here also you need to fill the nomination form. Then a part of the nomination form, whenever any kind of form you submit, so you have to deposit the money also. So here also you have to deposit the money, which is called as security. So security you have to deposit, and then you have to give a declaration as well. Declaration मतलब आपको घोषणा करनी है. You have to declare that whatever information you are giving hereby is correct, कि जो भी आप जानकारी दे रहे हैं अपने बारे में वो सत्य है, इस चीज़ का प्रमाण देना पड़ेगा. सो नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज दैट व्हाट declaration a candidate who is going to fill the nomination form he has to give, what kind of declaration, what are the things which should be there in that declaration. So he has to give three kind of details. You can see here on the screen as well that you have to give the information of any serious criminal cases if it is pending against the candidate. If you are going to nominate yourself and if any serious and pending criminal case is against you, then you have to give the details of that. Then you have to give the details of योर एसेट्स एज वेल एज लाइबिलिटीज़, अपनी संपत्ति और अपने ऊपर जो भी जिम्मेदारियां हैं, जो लाइबिलिटी हैं, लाइबिलिटी मतलब जिम्मेदारियां जो भी आपके पास हैं, जो अगर आपने लोन ले रखा है, इफ़ यू हैव टेकन लोन फ्रॉम समवेयर, फ्रॉम सम बैंक, you have to give detail of that, and at last you have to give the details of educational qualification. So one question must be coming in your mind that does for the nomination any particular kind of qualification is needed? So let me tell you that it is not like that compulsorily you need any particular kind of degree or any particular kind of educational qualification. So far this has not been this kind of compulsion has not been made that you have to be a graduate or a postgraduate or even a matric holder. So but the details are required so that the people can be aware of that to whom they are going to give the vote. They should know about the candidate that to whom they are going to vote for. So if they know about the background of the candidate by knowing about the criminal background by this declaration in which candidate gives the details of any pending criminal case against him, and by telling about the details of assets and liabilities, people can also know about that how many assets a particular person is having and what are the liabilities which he has to follow. And people can also know by the third thing which is there in the declaration about that how much educated a person is to whom they are going to vote for. So once all this information is given, all this information is produced to the public so that public can be aware of the different nominated candidates, and it gives an opportunity so that public can make their decision, public can take their decision by going through all these details. If they will go through, they can understand. So this was the procedure of nomination of candidate. Now let us know about the next procedure, that is the election campaign. इलेक्शन कैंपेन मतलब चुनाव प्रचार. So whenever elections are there, you would have seen that people are doing various nukkad sabha, they are doing press conferences, they are doing public meetings, rallies, etc. So these are all the part of election campaign. So election campaign basically it is a set of those things which are required, which are done by the candidates and the political parties before the elections so as to make their vision understand by the people, so that people can understand about the vision of a particular candidate, the vision of a particular political party. So this set of all the activities is known as election campaign, and generally it means this election campaign start way before the elections, but actually the period which is fixed for this election campaign, that is the 2-week period before the date of election, or better to say 2-week period before the announcement of the final list of the candidates and the date of polling. Once the date of the polling is announced, so 2-week period before it, so that is the very crucial time for election campaign. So but as I told you that there are many things, many activities which are done in the name of election campaign, like going door to door for asking for the votes, means looking after the needs, helping the people before the elections for their different activities, for government related activities, for other activities, helping them. And definitely means holding rallies, press conferences, public meetings, nukkad sabha, etc. So these are the things which comes under election campaign. But it is not like that in the name of election campaign a person, a candidate, a nominated candidate can do anything. There are some things which a candidate, a nominated person cannot do at all. So there is a list of those things which a candidate cannot do in the name of election campaign. First of all, a candidate cannot bribe or threaten voters. voters. A candidate cannot give money for asking for the votes. He cannot give money. He cannot give money to the voters. Apart that, he or she also cannot threaten the voters. मतलब डरा धमका नहीं सकते हैं कि किसी के बच्चे को किडनैप कर लिया कि अगर आप वोट नहीं दोगे then we need to kill, we can kill your child, like this. So these kind of things by which a person can be threatened, a voter can be threatened, these things are not at all allowed in the name of election campaign. And then the second thing which is very important to know, that is in the name of election campaign, however it is done it is very much prevalent in the practical life. It is very much prevalent that candidates they used to ask for the vote. They used to ask for the vote in the name of their caste or religion. If someone belongs to your caste, then in order to attract you, the candidate may say that I am of your caste, you please give your vote, you give your precious vote to me, because I only can do something for our category people, for our caste people, for our religion people. So these are the things which are banned. Means asking for the vote in the name of the caste or any religion. Apart that, the resources of the government also cannot be used in the name of election campaign for the election purpose. Government resources cannot be used. For example, government helicopters, government car, means fuel which is provided by the government to the MPs and MLAs. So these are the things, means that any kind of government resource, it cannot be utilized in the name of election campaign. So, and one more thing is very important, that there are different levels of election for different levels of government. So if we talk about the Lok Sabha elections, a candidate, a nominated candidate cannot spend more than 25 lakh rupees in a Lok Sabha elections, and not more than 10 lakh rupees in a Vidhan Sabha elections of a state. So these are the things which are banned. But apart these banned things, government is having some defined rules and regulations regarding this, and these defined rules and regulations, they comes under कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट, जिसको हिंदी में हम आचार संहिता भी बोलते हैं. दैट व्हाट शुड बी द कंडक्ट at the time of election or just before the election, how should be the conduct. So in addition to the rules and regulations, the laws, the political parties and the candidates, they have agreed upon a model code of conduct. Model code of conduct मतलब एक ऐसा code of conduct जिस पे सभी political parties और candidates ने agree करा है, वो एक model है, एक आदर्श है. So that code of conduct, Achar Samhita, includes the following things. As per code of conduct, the following things cannot be done. You can see that people cannot use any place of worship. Make sure that any place of worship means any temple, any church, any gurudwara, any masjid, mosque, it cannot be used at all for the election related propaganda, because it is again related to the things which are banned in the name of election. That is, the candidate cannot ask for the vote in the name of the religion. So if you are going to a temple, to a mosque, to a gurudwara, to a church for any election related propaganda, it means that you are asking for the vote in the name of the religion. So it also comes under the code of conduct that any place of worship cannot be used for election related propaganda. Apart that, the resources of the government, we have discussed, there is a law also that the government resources cannot be used. In the same way, code of conduct also implies that government vehicle, aircraft and government officials, even they cannot be used for election related queries, election related agenda, anything. So and once this is very much interesting, that once the date of the elections are announced, then a political party, a candidate, they cannot lay the foundation of any new project. They cannot even announce any new project at all. So this is code of conduct. Now let us move ahead. Now let us know about the procedure of polling and the counting of votes. So these are two different procedures. First procedure is of polling and the second procedure, that is of counting of votes. Polling मतलब वोट डालना. So there is a fixed day which is known as polling day. So I told you that in general election, that after the election which held after every 5 years on all the constituency at the same time are known as general elections. So in the general elections on all the constituency, voting is done. So in all the constituency, however, the voting is done, but it does not mean that voting is done at the same time. At the same time it is done, undoubtedly at the same time it is done, but not on the same day. For example, if there are means if there, let us take the example of Uttar Pradesh only. If there are more than 400 constituencies in Uttar Pradesh, there are more than 400 areas in which our state is divided for the purpose of election. So on these more than 400 places, more than 400 constituencies, elections are not conducted on the same day. Some levels are there, some division of dates is there, in which on these dates on different areas elections are being conducted. That is called as polling day. So on the polling day, every person whose name is there on the voters list, means every voter, he can go to the nearby polling booth. Polling booth is the place where a person used to visit to give their vote. Generally, you all also know that generally a polling booth is a nearby government school or any other government property. So that is polling booth. वहाँ पे जा कर के जो है लोग अपना वोट देते हैं, वोट डालते हैं जा कर के. So that is known as polling booth. So and after going to the polling booth, a voter, he enters inside the polling booth, and he also used to show his identity. So however, I told you about the system of EPIC, election photo identity card, that has been introduced. So a person can also show his voter ID or his EPIC, election photo identity card, and once the person is identified by the official person who is sitting inside the polling booth for this purpose of elections only. So once the person identify the voter, he verifies it from the list which that government official is having that list. So from that list, once the voter is identified, then another person is there who used to put a mark on the finger, and then the person is allowed to cast his or her vote. At the same time, one agent of each candidate is allowed to sit inside the polling booth, so that he or she can see that whether the voting is going on in a free and fair manner or not. So this agent of the candidate is allowed. So earlier the voters, they used to indicate that if who they wanted to vote for, how they used to do that. Earlier the system of ballot paper was there, but now the new system of EVM, electronic voting machine, has been introduced. So earlier voting was done through the ballot paper, but nowadays EVMs are there. So the system has become very easy, that on this EVM some names are there, and in the front of those names there are symbols, political symbols, party symbol is there, and if independent candidate is there, election commission allotted symbol to independent candidate as well. Before the symbol, some buttons are there. These buttons, if you want to vote for any person, you can just press the button. So, and once you are pressing the button, some noise comes, from which you can come to know, and the officials can also come to know that you have casted your vote. So this is how the procedure of polling completes, and once the procedure of polling completes, the next procedure is about the counting of votes. So once polling is completed on all the constituencies, then on a single day, make sure on a single day for polling, it completes within several days during a particular duration, but counting took place on the same day for all the constituency on the same one particular day. So that day is called as the declaration of the result day, or the result day. So on that particular day, all the sealed EVMs from different constituencies, they are brought together at different places, different counting places, and at these places also one agent of each candidate is allowed, so that the counting is taking place in a free and fair manner, or not on that declared day. So their counting is done, and the candidate who secure the highest number of the votes, he or she is declared as the winner in a particular constituency. So about the election results, let me tell you that how many number of candidates are winning and which candidate is winning from which constituency, that is declared. Formation of the government has nothing to do with it. Formation of a government is the next process which is done after the declaration of the result. Got it? So this is this was the procedure of counting of votes. So now from the beginning you have understood that how elections are being conducted, what are the different type of elections, these all you have understood. So now let us know about this very important organization, that is Election Commission, which looks after all the matters related to election. Election Commission is one such organization. It is a commission, it is an आयोग. ये एक आयोग है जो कि सारी गतिविधियाँ, सारी एक्टिविटीज़ जो होती हैं इलेक्शन रिलेटेड, चाहे वो कैंडिडेट्स का नॉमिनेशन हो, चाहे पोलिंग एंड काउंटिंग ऑफ वोट्स हो, चाहे मेकिंग ऑफ इलेक्टोरल रोल या वोटर्स लिस्ट हो, तो सारी चीज़ों में इनिशिएटिव लेने वाला ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है इलेक्शन कमीशन. एंड इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया इज़ वन which looks after the state elections as well as the Lok Sabha elections for the whole country. And apart of Election Commission of India, there are state election commission which looks after the different states are also having election commission, and these state election commission, they looks after the panchayat election or the local body elections, better to say. So Election Commission of India is just like the judiciary of our country, which is independent. So Election Commission becomes powerful, gets power at the time of elections only, and Election Commission of India is having so many powers which are not biased at all, and these powers it gets at the time of election only. So it is very important to know about the function of Election Commission, what functions does Election Commission performs. So it takes the decision on each and every aspect which is related to the election, everything, each and everything. Make sure from the announcement of the date of elections up to the declaration of the results. So all the things are looked after by the Election Commission only. And we have discussed about the code of conduct also, Achar Samhita. So it is also implemented on the directions of Election Commission, and Election Commission also can punish any candidate or political party if they are not going through, if they are not abiding the code of conduct. So one more thing is very important, one function of Election Commission is very important, that during the election period, Election Commission can also order the government to follow the guidelines, follow the rules and regulations made by Election Commission, and they also are supposed to make sure, different state governments, they are also supposed to make sure that the power of the government should not be used to enhance to the chances of the victory, that the chances of winning the election should not get affected by the use of the power. And government officials also cannot be transferred during the election period. And when elections are conducted, then different people, they used to go for conducting the election, like many of your parents would be teachers in the different government schools, so you would be knowing that they get the duty at the time of elections. So how would they get the duty? They may be the government employee for the state government, they may be the government employee for the central government, but at the time of elections they work under the Election Commission only. So this is the function of Election Commission for performing the functions which are allotted to the different government officials at the time of elections. So the payment for this, the money for doing this work has also been separately given by the Election Commission, in addition to the salary which is given by different governments of state or central government. So this was about the functions of election commission, which was very important. Now we need to understand about the challenges to free and fair elections. Of course, in a country like India, in which so much corruption is there, people are illiterate, it is a challenge to conduct free and fair elections. So there are some challenges to free and fair elections, so we should go through them. Number one, you can see that number one, the candidates and the parties with lot of money. So the candidate who are having lot of money means they are from any business background or any political background. So it happens that it is not necessary that a candidate who is having a lot of money, they can definitely win the election. It is not like that, but their chances of victory are definitely increased. So the candidate with and political parties with lot of money, they have this advantage over the candidates who are not that much rich, or the parties which are not that much popular or big. So they are having advantage. The second challenge is about this, that sometimes the candidates who are having criminal connections, some criminal connection, वो दूसरों को डरा धमका करके जो है वो टिकट पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से ले लेते हैं. They threaten the big leaders of the political parties, and they can get the ticket from some major parties. So this is also another challenge to free and fair elections, that the candidate who is deserving, sometimes they do not get the chance due to the influence of the person who is having the criminal connection. And the third challenge is about the domination of the families. So there are sometimes in some political parties, some families they try to dominate always. The top positions are held by some particular leader who belong to a particular family. This is also one of the challenge to free and fair election. Now let us talk about another challenge, that is the political parties. All the political parties almost they are same in their approach. Before the election, they may say that if I will come in power, if we will come in power, we will do this, we will do that, but more or less there is no real choice for the voters, because almost all the parties, they are similar to each other in their policies, and means the way they perform the work after the election, they are almost same. And the last not the last we can say, but here of course it is last. So the last challenge is the small parties. Means the parties which are not that much popular, and the independent candidate who does not belong to any particular political party, so they definitely suffer a disadvantage in comparison to those who belong to a political party which is bigger, which is popular, and the political party of course which is not that much big. So or we can say the newly formed political party and the independent candidates, they also face disadvantage, and chances of victory of such candidate or such political parties are comparatively less. But it is the beauty of the democracy. That's why we all prefer democracy, that it is the beauty of the democracy that it gives opportunity for an independent, equal opportunity for an independent candidate, for a newly formed political party also equally to win the elections. So now it completely depends upon the people that for whom they are going to vote in. However, in democracy we all know that all the things revolves around the people only. It is ultimately the view of the people. So more and more the people will be aware, more and more the people would be educated, better will be the decisions which are taken by them. So more or less this was all about the election related things. And to be very honest, let me tell you that in throughout whatever your syllabus, this is for me all the things are equally important. But if talking about the interest in whole civics, this is the most interesting chapter for me to teach. So thank you so much. I have tried my best to divide the content of this particular chapter in two parts, but I hope you all would have understood so far about the whole process of election in this chapter, electoral politics. So now some questions are there which you are supposed to answer. Among them, the type of elections first of all, and what do we mean by reserved constituencies, And what is a voters list? What do we call that voters list officially? What is the name of that voters list? Challenges, of course, to the free and fair elections, the procedure of election, the procedure of nomination of candidate, what do we mean by code of conduct, and procedure of polling and counting of votes, why the constituencies are reserved, and about the elections in Haryana and Chaudhry Devilal, of course, you all should know, as it is important case study from which this chapter actually begins. So these are the some of the important questions which you all should know, you all should learn, which you can understand by going through your book also. So thank you so much, students. Be safe, stay at home. I don't know for how long this lockdown period is going on, but keep on studying, keep on making notes. It is very important for you all. Thank you.